Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me in this half year reset. Can you believe we're about to start Q3, which means it's time to plan your 12-week year. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to do a little bit of an overview as I go through planning my own 12-week year. That way you can do the same using evidence-based psychology and strategies to help you achieve your goals in just 12 weeks. So let's jump right in. Since I am at a stage of resetting for the half year, I did a few things to help me move into summer. We're doing a couple of renovations around this house so we can get ready for summer. We're moving the old playground that's in my backyard. I also have plans to organize my kids' toys. And one of the things I've been updating you guys on that I've actually been also doing for this kind of summer reset is doing our gardening. I now have some mint. We have some strawberries, and we, as some of you may know, we planted 4 tomato plants that are growing. I might put a little video up. And so that's kind of what I've just been doing, kind of getting the house summer ready to reset, in addition to thinking about my goals for Q3. As I thought about my goals before I sat down to actually plan the quarter, one of the things I was really thinking about is incorporating some things that I've been working on kind of subconsciously or in the background, but I haven't really flushed out into my actually 12-week year goals, and making sure they are aligned with my yearly goals, which is what I call my moon goals. So that's kind of what I've been doing to reset for the year as well, is kind of thinking about how can I incorporate some of the things that I'm doing that I haven't sat down and thought about into actually what I want to get done for this year, making sure I'm not getting distracted and staying aligned. So let's move into the actual planning process for this half year reset. This is actually the system that is really life-changing if you implement it the right way. And I'm gonna share with you guys exactly how I plan out my 12-week year. So before we dive into my personal planning, I wanted to give you a little bit of an overview to help you understand and contextualize what each 12-week year, particularly if you use the quarters, Q1, Q2, Q3 and Q4 for your 12-week year, what they actually mean and how to use them in a system that can actually help you move closer to those larger than life goals. For me, those are my yearly moon goals, and give you like an overview of how to actually apply some of these strategies as you move from 12-week year to 12-week year throughout the year. So what I've really learned for me is Q1 is really about setting those intentions. That's when you come up with your larger yearly goals. You set your 12-week year for that Q1, and you're kind of deciding on what goals you want from the year based on the reflection and conscious work you've done for the year. For those that use the Mod Ambition Planner, that's when I do my goal planner at the beginning of the year and set my intentions for what my 12-week years are going to be moving me closer to. So if you use an analogy, you can think of that as deciding on the seeds that you're gonna plant for the year. That's what Q1 is all about. You're coming up with that vision board, you're coming up with those first starter goals, and that's when you're kind of trying on your goals by deciding, as I said, deciding on the seeds you're gonna plant. And then you move into Q1, and that quarter, those 12 weeks are really about trying on your goals, seeing what fits, seeing what doesn't work, and really fleshing out what you truly want for the year. Then as you move into Q2, you're actually planting the seeds. So you are really clarifying those goals. You've had that first quarter to kind of try them on. And then in Q2, you're really clarifying what is it you really want to continue throughout the year, what worked for you, what hasn't worked for you, and then you're more focused and streamlined in Q2 as you move through Q2. Q2 is all about clarifying and then digging in on those goals once you've kind of streamlined them from Q1. So now in Q3, what we're moving into is really doubling down and rooting down. If you think about our metaphor, the seeds that you planted, Q3 is all going to be about rooting down, going harder on what you've clarified in Q1 and Q2, but really digging deeper into doing the work to get you closer to those larger than life goals. Prioritizing what's most important to you, even if you have to carry along some anxiety or maybe some stress in the background, you're going to keep moving forward. You're going to keep digging in. Basically, you're not going to give up on yourself in Q3. And then Q4 is really about flourishing. That's when you're starting to see some of the fruits of all the labor that you've put in throughout the year. You're starting to see some of those results from working so hard and staying consistent, clarifying, streamlining, doubling down, and then you're just kind of riding the wave as you moved into Q4 and really running across that finish line to really finalize your work towards those yearly goals. So let's move into actually this half year reset, what we're planning right now, which is Q3, the 12 weeks between July, August, and September. And if you use the 12-week year strategies, you know this starts off with a vision that we set in the beginning of the year, the vision of where we ultimately want these 12-week years to move us closer to. So we're going to refresh ourselves with our yearly goals. So take a moment, whether you're using the Mod Ambition Planner or wherever you did your conscious work at the beginning of the year, to remind yourself what this 12 weeks should be moving you closer to. So let's take a look before we move into planning this quarter. How did we do with last quarter's goals? So my first goal last quarter for my 12-week year was by Q3, I wanted to have a clear picture of my finances and to increase my side revenue by a certain amount. And the answer to that is no, I did not meet that goal. I did increase my side revenue, but I didn't meet the goal that I wanted to meet as far as numeric number. But I guess I did halfway. I did get a clear picture of my finances. So I started off this past quarter, Q2, not really being on top of my budgeting routine. I was doing it like once a month. And outside of my vacations in Q3, and like I had a little bit of a slip off period when I got sick, but I got right back on. I'm very proud with being able to keep up with what I call my CEO Fridays. That's when I do like my personal admin, like my bills and my mail, but I also have a budgeting routine and a planning routine that I do on Fridays. But the budgeting routine, I really wanted to make a commitment to have a clear picture of the moving pieces of my finances, personal and business. So sticking to that Friday budgeting routine was something I really want to do. So that I was able to maintain. My second quarterly goal was in the area of body wellness under my total wellness goal. I wanted to get in shape and I wanted to get down to a certain number. Just for trigger reasons, I'm not going to say what the number is, but I was able to achieve that goal. I did pretty good with my wellness, my body wellness in Q2. I'm no longer drinking alcohol. As you guys see, this is a mocktail, summer mocktail. I have cut down on my dairy. I could do better on that. Is the hardest part with eliminating dairy for me is the cheese. Cardio, I'm doing pretty well. I have moved that even to my habit tracker. It's not really a goal. My word of the year is wellness, and I focused a lot in Q2 on financial wellness. And then my third quarterly goal was by Q3 to reach 6,400 subscribers on YouTube or 15,000 average views per month. And I did not reach the subscriber number, but I did surpass the average views per month. I still want to continue building my community, so I'm still going to be looking at my subscribers. So if you want to subscribe and make a lot of goal-oriented productivity, intentional living content, come on over and join us over here and hit subscribe. So take a minute to think about how did you do in your last quarter. Review your last quarterly goals, determine if you met them or not, and if you didn't, think about what got in your way so you can take those lessons with you into this next quarter. So I'll just vaguely, quickly tell you guys my yearly goals, my moon goals that my 12-week year is moving me closer to, which is total wellness, to enjoy and nurture my family, and then lastly is to expand my business. For my total wellness goal, I have myself at about 50% progress where I expect myself to be, as well as enjoying and nurturing my family. I will say the one that needs the most work is expanding my business, although I did put myself pretty close to the 50% mark where I expect myself to be, just because I'm almost there where that goal is of how much revenue I want to be making. And also I'm just doing the consistent lead actions. So if you know the 12-week year, those are those day-to-day actions that you set for yourself that are like SMART goals. They're more specific, they're measurable, they're more based on your actions, they're tactics. So I'm happy with doing my part. We control the what, God controls the how, and the when our goals come true. Take a look at your own yearly goals and think about how much progress you've made towards them so you can know how much fire to put under your butt as you move into Q3. So let's do our reflection work before we actually go into setting the goals for the quarter. This is going to help you set your goals with more intention, with more purpose, and really staying aligned to your values, aka what's most important to you. So let's start with my intention for the quarter. My intention this quarter really is to go hard. Like I said, it's really to root down, to dig in into the goals that I've set for myself this quarter. So lean into showing up more authentically, showing up more consistently on social media, which I've started to do, and also leaning into my value of beauty. So I think that as a psychologist and as a mom, I may not always prioritize my value of beauty, but being creative and making things beautiful, making myself feel beautiful, those are all things that are important to me. Sometimes I kind of tone myself down or dim my light because of my role, like I said, as being a psychologist and a mom, or just living in Colorado. Sometimes a lot of people don't dress up here, and you know, I moved here from LA. I'm originally from Texas, and before I moved to LA I lived in Miami for a while, about 10 years. So the core of me is go big or go home when it comes to dressing up. So living in Colorado is a little bit different. Like I said, all these roles that I've accumulated, I've kind of dimmed my light to fit in these roles, but I have to just be me, and that's what makes me happy. I'm learning making things beautiful, whether that's a dinner party, whether that's the way I dress, all those things. I really want to show up in ways that make me happy, and that's going to help my wellness, that remembering my word of the year. So what is your intention for this quarter? Take a moment to think about what do you set as your intention as you move into Q3. Next up, let's talk about what I'm excited for as we move into Q3. So one of the things I'm really excited about is I'm going to be starting to work with a social media manager. I'm someone that I have thought about working with for a while, and then we're actually, you know, going to move forward with working together. And then we have a lot of events, like summertime events, that also are aligned with my goals. We're going to go on a family vacation. Me and my husband, for the first time, are going to go on a vacation, just the two of us, a couple's vacation. My mom is going to fly in and watch our children for us, take them in school and stuff. We have not had a vacation together since they've been born. So this is huge. Take a moment to think about, as you think about July and August and September, are there any things coming up that you're excited for? It's also important for us to think about our wins from last quarter. This is going to help us reflect on what we're grateful for or anything we want to double down on. So let's take a moment to think about what were our wins from Q2. For me, I had particularly success on my affiliate channels. I think I mentioned here, I was trying to find ways that I can share things that I like and love. So those things have been really successful. I mean, it's still really small. I'm definitely going to stay consistent and see how it pans out, but I'm excited to be on those new platforms. Also, some of my wins from last quarter was visiting my family in Texas. We went there in May, which was great. It was hot, number one, but getting to see my family, eating good food, doing a lot of kids activities, so that was really great. And then we also had my son's birthday in April of Q2, and that was also amazing because my family flew in town, so it was more family time and just celebrating my son, seeing him turn 3 were all great things. I would say another win were our tomato plants. We started them from seeds, and then they have blossomed. They're now in the backyard living their best life. So just getting into more gardening stuff and just family life was really good in Q2 as well. So what were your wins from last quarter? And maybe think about anything you want to double down on as you move into Q3. Moving on to lessons last quarter. This may be something that you're maybe hesitant to think about, but it can really help you in thinking about what things may have gotten your way or what lessons you learned that you want to take with you into the new quarter so you can be constantly evolving. For me, one of those lessons was definitely revisiting the lesson of prioritizing my sleep. This is something I'm always preaching about, and I kind of leaned out, I would say in the last month, of this practice and was staying up really late, which then affects your morning routine. So a productive day always starts with a productive evening the night before. When I say productive evening, I just mean getting into your routine, going to bed at a decent time, getting enough sleep. And I was staying up, you know, working or watching stuff or reading, like just anything really, all the things you can think of, because I think I was just maybe drinking caffeine a little bit too late, or just, you know, doing a little bit too much screen time that was keeping me up, or pushing myself to get things done as far as my own business, and instead of going to sleep and waking up and doing in the morning, which is much better for me. Another lesson that I talked a lot about on my channel is being present with my children, having more positive parenting interactions. Those were really good lessons that I was able to really lean into in Q2. And then divine timing is real is definitely a lesson that came to me, or I downloaded in this last quarter, something that I've, you know, always kind of talked about, and it's been on my mind, and it kind of hit me in a different way, thinking about my job, thinking about what I'm pushing forward towards, and really just appreciating everything that I have now. So what were your lessons from this last quarter? What are you going to take into Q3 that really hit you as something you want to evolve and get better at? Moving on to the second page in the quarterly planning and the Mod Ambition Planner, let's talk about our mantra from this quarter. So my mantra for this quarter is to stick to the plan and to make things beautiful. So just sticking to what I've set out for myself already, and then also making things beautiful goes back to that value of beauty that I have, that I'm really trying to lean into this month, because I know how happy it makes me. What is your mantra for this quarter? And that leads me into what's my priority for this quarter. Before I set my goals, it's really helpful to think about what's most important to me. As I think about those larger goals, those lessons that I have for myself, then what am I going to prioritize this quarter? And for me, it really is product development of this new product that I'm developing. I want to finish it in a way that it can be timely for people that that I'm intending to use it. I want to put it out there at a time that it would be most useful for them. So that means I got to get it done very soon. So that's definitely a priority for me this quarter. Also, family memories. I mentioned all those vacations that were going on. It's also summertime, so I want to make sure that I'm prioritizing creating beautiful family memories for my kiddos. What's your priority for this quarter? And then I'd like to think about, what am I saying yes to this quarter, so I can really stay aligned with my priorities and my intentions, my mantra, all those things. So it kind of sums it up very easily. I'm saying yes to beauty and present moment joy, so being present minded with myself, with my family, all those things. And I'm also saying yes to just making things beautiful. What are you saying yes to this quarter? What I'm saying no to this quarter is unconscious hustling and distraction. So getting distracted in my hustle. I really want to stay focused on the goals that I'm setting out for myself, and I want to be conscious of the way that I'm hustling. Like I said, I don't want to be staying up all night working, all those kinds of things. I want to be taking care of myself and very conscious and intentional about the work that I'm doing, so it can definitely move me closer to my larger than life goals. What are you saying no to this quarter? And with that brings me to my quarterly goals. So let's jump into what I actually decided to go for this quarter after doing that reflection work and then really reviewing and reflecting on my larger goals for the year. So my first one is under the yearly goal of expanding my business, and it says by Q3 I will have launched my new product according to plan. So I have a whole plan that is sorted out in my Notion, that it's a larger strategy of how I want to finish this new product, but also how I want to roll it out. So I want to have launched that new product by Q3. My second goal is under the goal of family. So I have like 3 goals, really. The vacations that we set out for myself, teaching my kids to swim, and then organizing my kids' toys is another family goal that I have. Nice and neat. My third quarterly goal is under the wellness yearly goal, and it is, first of all, consistently having 8 hours of sleep. Secondly, no dairy, and then moving Pilates back up to 2 times a week. I put as a goal because it's not quite to the point where I'm just tracking it as a habit. I'm going like once for sure, but I've just moved it up to wanting to go twice a week. Next goal is under neuropsychology, consistent 5 to 6 reports per week, which I talked about. And then last one is expanding my business and just sticking to my content goals. What are your quarterly goals? And then the last piece in the 12-week year strategies, after you set your quarterly goals, I am going to be doing my monthly goals and my 12-week year lead goals in my monthly plan with me or my live. So be sure you subscribe so you can see how I do those. I'll probably do it in my live actually. Every other Friday I go live for our accountability meeting, which is a part of the 12-week year. So after setting those goals, as you move through the process of achieving them, you want to control that process. So you do that by weekly planning. I have that for me on Fridays. Again, you guys can join me every week to do that weekly planning. Accountability, so you can be accountable with me in those meetings. I also am a part of an accountability group. You can also be accountable to someone in your life that you feel comfortable sharing your goals with. And then habits and routines are really a way to put this on autopilot. For this quarter, my habits that I'm going to be tracking are cardio, Pilates, therapy, enough water intake, reading each night, my product development, and my evening routine. Most of them are already habits. I'm just going to be tracking them, make sure they're really solidified and I continue with them. So that's how I'm controlling the process. And I also have lots of routines that I use to help me control the process, just to make all of this easy and automatic. I do have a video on that as well that you can watch of like my routines in my life to stay productive. Great. So now you actually have the plan to reach your goals in just 12 weeks. And it's important that you actually utilize the strategies of the 12-week year to help you get there. In fact, actually implementing the 12-week year strategies may be more important than the planning process. Actually knowing how to implement the 12-week strategies to get you there is going to be most important when achieving your goals in just 12 weeks. Which is why I want you to click this video right here to learn the actual strategies where I go in depth on the book, The 12-Week Year, and all its strategies for you to watch next, so you can get more done in 12 weeks than most people get done in a year. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Cheers to planning, manifesting, and enjoying your dream life. Namaste.